Look.
All right. So, hi everyone. A very warm afternoon to all of you. Welcome to another weekly practice session with me, your verbal ability mentor, Sanjana ma'am. Let's just wait for a couple of seconds so that we have enough number of students to begin this session with. Keep in mind, students, that this is session number 8, and this is the third time we are going to solve a reading comprehension or English language section based passages this time around, right? Two passages again. And this would be helpful if you could just go and watch the other sessions. We have already taken a couple of sessions before this session as well. So you can go and watch it to create more impact on your preparation. Just some more seconds and then we can begin. Again, I'd like to let you know that the passages that I have today are again leveled or modeled on CLAT-based passages only for English language section. So the questions are going to be very easy this time around. And this is actually going to reflect the level of difficulty of CLAT 24 and 25. Okay, so I think I'll begin the session just about now. All right, this here is the first passage for us. All right, now this passage is essentially going to talk about the impact of social media on the mental health of, children, not adolescents, not adults, but children essentially. Okay, so do you have to read the entire passage? If you feel really comfortable reading the entire passage within 1.5 minutes, why not? Otherwise, it's fair to say that you can decide on skimming through the passage as well. Okay, for example, this is something that I was able to spot here. As our children's free time and imaginations become more and more tightly fused to the social media they consume, right? We need to understand that unregulated access to the internet comes at a cost. So, this in itself is going to tell you a little bit about the main idea or the main crux of the passage, right? Unregulated access to the internet or the social media and its impact on the minds, imagination, or let's just say the mental health of children, right? And at the same time, another statement tells you that there is something similar happening for adults too, which means it is impacting the adults as well in a way. With the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, a spiritual loss awaits us as we outsource countless human rituals, which means whatever we want to perform, whatever we want to do, we are outsourcing it to machines or the internet or the social media. We are not doing things of our own volition now. We're not doing things on our own. We're just sort of delegating the task to machines for them to help us with these tasks, right? But at the same time, it isn't too late to change the story. So, can I say thus far in the first paragraph, the author seems largely concerned slash worried about the impact of social media on children. Now, is it going to be entirely on children? That remains to be read, right? So again, now the author talks about a particular experience where he visited with a group of high school students in Connecticut to have a conversation. So what is the purpose of the visit? Is to have a conversation about the role that social media plays in their daily lives and in their mental health. Okay, and this is the impact. They're feeling depressed, lonely, disconnected than ever before, especially teens, teen girls and LGBTQ teens are seriously considering a suicide. All right. So now the author has also wanted to speak candidly about how social media helps and hurts mental health. So it could have a two-way role here, but the major role here is of how it can harm the health. Okay. Now the author was more worried than ever about the well-being of her kids. So entirely, we are going to talk about the impact of social media on the health of kids or children. Again, the main idea is this, which I can infer from a plain reading of the first two paragraphs here. Okay, I'm not reading every statement here. Now, again, the author will try to expand on the problems. The author says there are numerous problems, like I said, with children and adolescents using social media. Mental health deterioration is there, dangerous and age inappropriate content, and lackluster efforts tech companies employ to enforce their own age verification rules. So, what are the impacts? Mental health deterioration and dangerous and age inappropriate content. We have, unregulated access to it. But the high schoolers with whom the author met alerted the author to an even more insidious or even more harmful result of minors' growing addiction to social media. You see, all of these things that I'm highlighting here, these are nothing but keywords, right? The depth of exploration, trial and error. This is how the author is concluding the passage, which says that an even more severe problem is the depth of exploration, trial and error, and discovery. So, as humans, we are generally, inquisitive, curious creatures, but now we no longer want to explore. We no longer are curious to discover new things because algorithms, they come to a rescue. These recommendations do the work of discovering and pursuing interest. Then we don't have to do it. If all of these tasks are getting delegated to social media or the machines, then we don't have to do anything on our own, which is what the author finds concerning, right? Finding community, learning about the world. Kids today are not learning how to be curious, critical adults, and they don't seem to know what they've lost. So essentially, we're talking about kids or children and the impact of social media slash artificial intelligence slash internet on them. Very simple passage. I just had to explain a little more for the ones who are, let's just say, not that expert at decoding RCs that easily, especially for ones who might have just, begun to prepare for the exam. Okay, having said that, let's focus on the questions one by one. Okay, this is the first question here. What is the main concern raised by the author in the passage? What is this main idea? Nothing else. Okay. The detrimental impact of social media on children's mental health. This seems like what I just reiterated, right? The spiritual loss caused by outsourcing human rituals to machines. You might say, ma'am, what about option B? This is also mentioned. Why can't we choose option B as the correct option choice? Because this is more of, a sub idea. I wouldn't say this is the main idea. I mean, if I just remove option B from the passage, does it mean that still we cannot decode the main concern? Absolutely not, right? So this is not that important. The dangerous and age inappropriate content in social media platforms. This is like one of the disastrous impacts it can have on children or adolescents, but not the main concern. Main concern is, if I have to take you back to the passage, the impact, the disastrous impact, negative impact of social media on children. Again, D2 is more of a sub idea, not the main idea itself. We have to talk about the main concern, which is captured in option A, which makes option A the correct option choice. All right. Look at the second question. According to the author, what is happening to children's curiosity and critical thinking skills due to social media use? Do you know what question this is? This is a direct question. Every option here, the correct option at least, will be given in the passage. They are becoming more curious and critical. Actually, the contradictory is happening, as has been mentioned in the last few lines, that we are no longer very curious and, like critically evaluative of things. They are losing their ability to think critically and be curious. That's it. This here is the impact, right? This is what is happening because of excessive social media usage. B should be the correct option choice. C says they're no longer relying on algorithmic recommendations for critical thinking. They're actually relying on this, right? So this again is incorrect information. They're finding new ways to explore and learn through social media. Again, this is going contradictory to the information mentioned. They're not finding any new ways. They're just relying on algorithmic recommendations. That makes B your correct option choice. This is just as easy as CLAT 2025 English language passages. Like all the options, the correct options are given directly in the passage. There is no indirect inference also that you have to sort of figure out. Look at the third question. I'd also appreciate for the ones who are, solving the passages alongside me. If you want, you can just put your answers in the chat box here. Question 3. What is the author's purpose in visiting the high school students in Connecticut? Connecticut. So can I say this was given in the second paragraph? And the author had mentioned that the author wants to study more about the relationship, so more about the impact of social media on children. To warn them about the dangers of social media, this is not given, so A is out. To understand the role of social media in their lives and mental health. What did I just say? That makes B the correct option choice again. Advocate for more age in appropriate content. So this is the finding that the author arrived at, which by extension does mean that he's likely to advocate for it. But is this given that this was the very purpose because of which he, met those high school students? No. So C is out. To teach them how to be critical thinkers in the digital age. Again, this is not given. So do not assume information in a vacuum is what my suggestion would be. That makes option B the best option choice. All right, then. Take a look at the fourth question now. According to the passage, what are some of the problems associated with children and adolescents using social media? The poor availability of age appropriate content. See, there is age inappropriate content mentioned, but that does not directly mean that it's, a problem associated with children and adolescents, right? So option A is not like a very wrong option choice, but let's just exhaust the other options to feel a little more confident about the correct option choice. The dangerous and age inappropriate content and lack of critical thinking skills. Like I said, this is so much more potent. Why? Because it's given in the passage, right? That which is given is what you have to, work your options with. So B again here is a correct option choice. The spiritual loss caused by outsourcing human rituals to machines. This is not a problem associated with children, right? It's something which I'm sure is mentioned in the first paragraph, but this is not the exact problem. Lackluster efforts, this is happening more as a secondary problem, but the problem which should be prioritized here is option B. Okay, so that makes B the correct option choice. Take a look at the next question. Author's view on the impact of AI in human rituals. He definitely does not really have a very positive view, which means that whatever options we choose, it has to be, slightly inclined towards like a negative assessment of it. A says it can lead to a loss of curiosity and exploratory instinct as algorithms supply desired content. And you read option A, not because it's the lengthiest option choice, but you can automatically tell that there you have your correct option choice. To say that it has zero impact or no significant effect on human rituals is choosing the wrong option. So cancel C. No, it cannot improve social media content moderation. Nothing positive has been voiced in the passage, to be fair. B says it will enhance human exploration. The contradictory is happening. So B2 is out. That makes A the correct option choice. And the last question for this particular passage, because stone-based questions are so important from a CLAT perspective, it's only fair that we solve more of them. Author's tone, I did mention, I had specifically written down on the screen that the author seems largely concerned and worried. So his main tone here is option B. No, he's not hopeful or optimistic. We cannot entirely say he's indifferent. If he were indifferent, he wouldn't even be talking about the negatives of it. And definitely D is out of context. So that makes B the best option choice here. All of you have gotten all the 6 questions correct for this passage. You can just let us know in the live chat here. All right. Now we're done with the first passage. Let's focus on the second passage for today's session. Okay. Now, do not jump the gun. Just because, the first few lines seems very narrative in nature, in no way this is going to be a narrative passage. Here, the author talks about the idea of ocean exploration. The author will tell you insights about his childhood, what he does as a profession. He talks a little bit about his grandfather, and essentially he wants to talk about the ocean ecosystem, which he so much appreciates, right? Because of the life that it supports, right? So it says on his fourth birthday, the author's father found him at the bottom of the pool sharing air supply. Now, if you want, you can just sort of skip this line. This has no use in solving the questions. Okay. Now, as a result, I have led teams to dive with orcas and great white sharks. The author is now going to tell you about a little bit of what he has done with his profession. He's piloted submarines and has even built a sub that looked like a shark, right? And the journey has been full of gratifying experiences for him, as well as challenges, some of them painful. Now, the author also recounts incidents with his grandfather. Why? Because he was a pioneer of ocean exploration who, over many years, engaged millions of people around the world in sharing his passion, which was that of ocean exploration, right? He contributed to the invention of many of the tools he needed: scuba, submersibles, submerged habitats, all of this. You can skip also if you want, because he saw the need for innovation to learn and explore. So this is a very important point highlighted here about the author's grandfather, right? That he was seeing the need for innovation to learn and explore, which is what really pushed him further to go in for ocean exploration. And he cited a quotation. If you want, you can read it. I would suggest I wouldn't read it right now. I'd rather wait for a question to pop up. That belief fueled his insatiable drive. Which belief? Essentially, this quotation is nothing but an expansion on this point here. right? So it fueled his insatiable drive to go beyond the known and to push the boundaries of comfort and routine, which is the need for innovation and, to learn and explore more. We'll read further. Now, the author talks about himself. Now, the discussion goes back to him. I dive into the unknown because the ocean is unique. Now, he's appreciating the ocean. It's magical, it's mysterious because it sustains all of life on Earth, right? It harbors virtually all life that we know, cherish, and depend on. It is Earth's life support system. You see, I'm not reading everything here, without which we cannot exist. There is no other known planet that can sustain a species. So it says most seemingly mundane, routine tasks our body performs to sustain life are possible thanks to living in a liquid world. Now, this is important because this is a factual piece of information here, right? About 50% or more of oxygen comes from the sea. Now, this oxygen is generated by trillions of microscopic plants and animals, which are called phytoplanktons, that call it home. So, the closed loop nature of Earth and its atmosphere drives evaporation from the oceans, which in turn leads to rainfalls, watering crops, filling aquifers. The food we eat depends largely on the same cycle, right? On resources from the sea, and a mild weather is thanks to it. That's it. Again, very simple passage. I was, just reading it loud, which took me a little more time. Otherwise, I can guarantee I would be able to solve this within, 30 to 40 seconds. I can easily skim through it. Now, you don't always have to have this goal in mind of solving something within a minute. It's only when you feel absolutely comfortable and experienced with it should you take this risk. Otherwise, giving a passage close to 2 minutes is also fine. Let's solve the questions one by one. We have the first question here. Most likely source of the passage. Is it an article about planet exploration? No, we're actually talking more about the exploration of ocean. So A is out. Is it a biography of the author's father, Jack Sposto? No, it's in a very small part of the passage that the author is talking about his grandfather. Is it a scientific study? Absolutely not. The correct option is D. It's a personal memoir of an ocean explorer. That's it, right? So D here is the correct option choice. It should take you not more than 5 seconds to solve this. 5 seconds. If you want, you can easily not read the other options and just focus on option D, right? Take a look at the next question. Which of the following best describes the author's view of the ocean? Is the author painting a negative picture? Absolutely not. If at all there is a picture, that of appreciation and gratitude. So is it a dangerous and hostile environment? No. Is it an ordinary part of nature? No, this is not how the author views the ocean. Is it a potential source of extraterrestrial life? Now, this is not given in the passage. We're left with a mysterious, magical ecosystem directly given in the passage. So correct option should be A. Look at ninth. Now, what is the role that the ocean plays in sustaining life on Earth according to the passage? One rule which I remember while explaining the passage was that a substantial amount of oxygen gets generated by phytoplanktons. And if that's the case, can I say that the correct option choice? Guys, I'm not relying on elimination here. I was just automatically able to spot the correct option. That's B. It generates a significant amount of oxygen. This part not given, right? This part not given. This direct source, no, it's an indirect source. Something direct as a word here is a quantifier. So don't feel risky and choose option D. No, it's not a direct source unless it's given. So correct option is option B here, right? Take a look at question number 10. What is the main reason that the author gives for his a continuous exploration of the ocean? The author feels fascinated in a way. So is it that the author is passionate for marine creatures, right? No. This in particular is not touched upon in the passage. The author's desire to break world records. What is this? This is absolutely out of context. Is the author fascinated with building submarines? That's a part of it, but it comes very secondary in nature. Correct option is say that the author's belief is in the importance of understanding and conserving the ocean. He also draws inspiration from his grandfather, right? Who believed in innovation and in wanting to explore and go beyond the, known. So take a look at question 11, which is why, like question 10 and 11, according to me, are interconnected. So what motivated the author's grandfather in his ocean exploration efforts? Now, this, I would say, for this practice exercise today, if at all there was a tricky question, it would be this. Was it a desire to teach his grandchildren about the ocean? No. A belief in the need for innovation and pushing boundaries. Ma'am, this is given. It definitely rings a bell. Option B might be correct. Is it a passion for studying marine creatures and their behavior? No. Is it a fascination with the mysteries of the deep sea? Ma'am, this also seems like it was implied in the passage. But which one is a better option choice? Any day it will be here, a belief in the need for innovation and pushing boundaries. If you remember, I had specifically underlined it. Now, I remember in a session that I had taken previously, a student had commented saying that, ma'am, how do we know what is important in a passage? We see very automatically highlighting important information. So how do we understand and identify the important information? My take on that is just focus on keywords. Any sentence which you feel can help you know a little more about the main idea, you should be able to highlight it either mentally or using a pen, right? Any adjectives that the author uses. For example, when I was reading this, it felt as if this is one of the very important reasons which pushed the author's grandfather for, ocean exploration, right? So B here is the best option choice. And the last question for this passage and for today's exercise would be this, which is a question based on vocab. Which of the following words best matches the definition to express strong disapproval or criticism? And the best option choice here will be condemn, not apprehend, not commend, not advocate, condemn, right? And that's it. That's all there is to today's practice session. If you have any doubts, you let me know. If you found this helpful, any insights you found helpful, you let us know in the live chat. Thank you so much, everyone. We're done with today's session. Have a great day.